Hi, I'm Bob, the Mortgage Coach Mitchell, and we are going to be finishing up our series on the step-by-step process on how to buy a house, how to successfully buy a house. Okay. In the previous videos, we talked about things like savings formation and forcing yourself to save and working on your credit, working on making sure your income and employment is stable and acceptable to what the underwriter is going to be looking for. Um, I can't think of what the other ones were, but watch the series. There'll be a playlist. Anyway, today we're going to finish up the series with just a couple pearls of wisdom that I like to shed upon you guys. And if so, let's just go ahead and start. The first one is he or she who cares least always wins. This works in both love and real estate. Okay, if you think about it, the person and in any kind of negotiations, the person who cares the most is going to be at a disadvantage. So if you're negotiating the purchase of a house and you just gushed all over it and you told the seller, oh, this is perfect, this is exactly what I've been looking for, it's in the right school district, it's got the 6 bedrooms in the school district that we need, and this, that, and the other thing, you're putting yourself at a disadvantage. So play your cards close to the vest, and always be willing to walk away from the deal. Okay, he or she who cares least always wins, and again, that works in both love and real estate. All right, number 2, school districts matter, even if you don't have kids. In the 38 years or so that I've been doing this, the one thing that I've noticed is that the better the school district is, the better the real estate tends to perform. And that even works in areas that are maybe a little bit more marginal. Okay, yeah, if you, depending on, I'm sure every city has a particular area that has a rocking school district, Ladue or Clayton in St. Louis, or Chesterfield would be another St. Louis one. Those are the ones I'm most familiar with. But anyway, buy as nice as in as good a school district as you can. If you look at an area and you see that the school district's really struggling, that the performance metrics aren't there, that they don't have a good graduation rate, blah 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 blah. At least take it into consideration. I'm not saying that you have to rule a particular house out because it's not in the best school district, but when comparing one house to the other, compare the school districts, all other factors being equal, pick the one with the better school district. All right. Number 3, don't be afraid to buy an ugly house. One of the things from all the years that I sold real estate, one of the things that I noticed is that people tend to like to buy turnkey houses. They want houses that have absolutely nothing wrong with them. That's one of the reasons why buying new construction is so popular. I don't want to, buy a house and then have to mess with the sewer next year. This, that, and the other thing. That said, since most people are that way, and I'd say a solid 90% of the people who will pass on a house that's ugly. Okay, the home investors, the flipping company, the housing speculator, I mean, they built their entire company around the slogan, we buy ugly houses. Why do they buy ugly houses? Well, because ugly houses can be turned into beautiful swans. My house that I'm sitting right here in front of me, that's behind me now, I guess you can see my leaned in porch. When we bought this house about 11 years ago, it had purple shag carpet. It had the old masonite siding. The lawn hadn't been tended to in decades, probably. The grass was tall. There were big bare spots. It was just an ugly house. Absolutely no curb appeal whatsoever. Okay, now it's taken us a few years, and we've been working pretty consistent on it. But not to pat myself on the back too hard, but I'd say we have actually one of the more attractive houses in the area. My wife's done a wonderful job with the landscaping. We've replaced that masonite siding with, what do they call the stuff? Fiberboard. I can't remember the brand name, but it's a cement-based product. It's a fiberboard. It's a lot like siding, and it has a wood grain to it. But it's actually made out of concrete and will last basically virtually forever. So anyway, If you can buy a house that's got solid bones, that the HVAC system and the roof is in good shape, but maybe it has the ugly siding, or it's got painted and peeling paint. Now, if it does have deferred maintenance, you definitely want to know what you're walking into. So get a building inspection, know what you're walking into. If it's got deferred maintenance on something that's painfully obvious, like the paint, then you can also figure that they didn't pay attention to the maintenance on other items. So don't be stupid about it, but don't completely discount a house just simply because it's got some it's in need of some cosmetic updating. That's the sort of thing that you can take a house and put some effort into it, put a little bit of money into it, and actually end up making a profit on it in terms of your home equity. So again, don't be afraid to buy an ugly house. Okay, number 4, in the grand scope of things, okay, don't be a cheapskate. Okay, in the grand scope of things, I've seen people negotiate transactions down to where they were $100 apart, and the one person just dug their heels in, and I was with my buyer, and they had gone back and forth and back and forth and back and forth, probably about 6 or 8 times. They got to where they were $50 apart. No, it might have been 100, I don't remember. 50, 100, a relatively small amount apart. And the person dug their heels in. They said, "Nope, I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to do it. That's it. The seller's done pissed me off. I'm not going to. It's either they take my offer or walk." And we're $100 apart. So I reached into my wallet and I tossed out a $100 bill and I said, "There, you're even. Buy the damn house." Okay, so again, don't be a cheapskate. In the grand scope of things, when you look back on that house 5 or 10 years from now, you're probably not going to remember exactly what you paid for it. So don't let a grand or two get in the way of you buying a house that's going to suit your needs. Okay, and then lastly, and this is just a technique thing, and I swear people blow this off all the time, and I've seen it just burn people to no end. Is always when you're out looking at properties, if you have a list of 5 properties, look at the least expensive house first before you move on to the next house, and before you move on to the next more expensive, until finally the last house you look at should be the most expensive house on your list. The reason for that is that when you're looking at a house, let's say that you start off at looking at a house that's $250,000. Okay, and the next one is, and then one of the other houses is right down the block. It's real close. We're gonna jump ahead and go look at the $300,000 house. Well, once you look at that $300,000 house, it's going to jade you towards looking at the $250,000 house. There's probably going to be a reason why it's more expensive. It's going to be more attractive in some way. Whereas if you started with the least expensive house, you might have found one that suited your needs and was fine, that didn't get tainted because you compared it to a house that was $75,000 more. So always start with the least expensive house, even if you have to drive further, even if you have to come back into the same neighborhood. Go look at the least expensive house, and then move on to the bigger, more expensive houses. So anyway, that wraps up our series on the step-by-step process of successfully buying a house. I hope you found it entertaining and informative. If you have any questions about the process, I do encourage you to go back to the beginning of the series and watch them all in order. But if you want to hit the fast forward or easy button, just go ahead and leave me a comment or drop me a note or give me a telephone call. I'll be more than happy to tell you about it, to give you my opinion and interact with you to find out what we can do to successfully get you into a house. And also, one of the things I wanted to point out here is that if you're in a different part of the country, I'm licensed and I do originate here in North Carolina, soon to be Virginia and South Carolina as well. Tennessee and Missouri are also in the list of getting the licenses set up. But for the most part, I intend this station to be educational, not a sales platform. But if you are looking in the North Carolina market, definitely feel free to reach out to me. Whether you got a mortgage banker lined up or not, it'd be cool if you didn't. But hey, I'm here to help, and that's true for you guys that are elsewhere as well. If you're in Washington or Oregon or any state, Indiana, And why anybody want to live in the United States? Anyway, if you're in any of those states, any other states, even though I'm not licensed there, you can definitely utilize me as a resource. If it's something that I don't know, I can refer you to somebody. I'll find somebody that does know the answer for you. So again, regardless of where you're at, feel free to reach out to me. Also, like, share, and subscribe if you know anybody who's thinking about buying a house, particularly a first house. I hope that these videos help. So anyway, again, I'm Bob the Mortgage Coach Mitchell. Now let's put you into a house.